Welcome back, everyone. This is Akinar here with more Talos Principle 2, where last time we completed the Flooded Valley, the second area here in the north, and we're introduced to the Accumulator mechanic, another new mechanic, which they have done so far in every single area. I'll be interested to see if that trend continues, but it's really cool that they are continuing to introduce new stuff all the time, and the puzzles are really fun. Even if they're not, as of yet, overly complicated or difficult, I'm having a lot of fun with them. And I think they're great. And I'm going to be really curious to see how they continue to combine all the different mechanics. We're also continuing to learn more about Athena and Miranda. They mentioned last time something about a singularity and how they were close to making quantum physics obsolete. Holy shit, what is going on with that? I don't think they're talking about the singularity that I'm familiar with, which is this concept of artificial intelligence generating itself, being able to design itself, and that as it progresses, it is making the next iteration of the AI even faster and more powerful. And so you have AI after AI that keeps designing a new, faster, better, stronger AI, and eventually doing each of those new generations in a shorter period of time. And eventually you get to this point where the AI is so powerful that it's just exponentially growing out of control. And then what? That is the singularity, or that's the idea that is out there that a lot of people do subscribe to. There are also a lot of people that say that it's probably not going to be that bad, that you're probably actually going to have diminishing returns rather than exponential growth, which is what often happens with technology. But either way, I don't think that is what Athena and Miranda are talking about. What are they talking about? We'll have to keep pressing forward and learning more. For now, we're just going to do some more puzzles, as we've been doing the whole time. We are 1K. We keep solving puzzles, and I'm very interested to see if there will be a new mechanic or what will happen here in the Lost Marshes, the third area of the north. The northeastern marshes of the island have mostly been lost to the sea, with the exception of this small patch of land. Let's check it out. To the marshes we go. Always excited to sit down and get more puzzles.
This area looks flooded as well.
Our ancestors melted a whole lot of ice. After they died, most coastal settlements were claimed by the sea. South of New Jerusalem, there's a whole city under the water. We went there once with Garrus when I was an apprentice. It was eerie.
That's exactly why the founder created the goal. When you go past the limits, this is what happens. Mother Nature always gets her revenge in the end.
This isn't revenge, Al. It's just failure. People, cities, mountains. As far as the sea is concerned, it's all the same. Their mistake was forgetting that, telling themselves nothing would change. It always does.
That is the ongoing debate, is not whether there are limits, but kind of where to set the limits. But look at this, another massive structure, another sight to behold. This one feels the closest to the, what was it, the spiky tower. The spiky tower has been the most unique one so far, but this one feels kind of similar to it. All the other towers have felt a little more, I don't know, traditional architecture. We do have a Prometheus monument over here. Let's find our road map here and take a look where puzzle 1 is. I veered off course earlier in the playthrough, but I have been kind of sticking to the normal progression of things, as I found that the game feels a little, it just kind of feels like that's what they want you to do, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with sticking with it, at least a mostly normal progression. I will still do some exploration, but I am curious though to jump right in and find out, are we going to have a new mechanic? What are we dealing with here? That looks new. Substitution. Okay, it looked new at first, but maybe it's not, because in reality, this is just a force field, is it not? I thought this was some new, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a force field aligned as though it were a floor to stand on. Have we ever had that before in a Talos Principle puzzle? Okay. What are we doing? This is a bring an item to swap. Whoa. Bring an item to swap. This is a jammer, is it not? So what is this? This is our new mechanic, I guess. So bring an item to swap. What happens if I step on this fan? I hit the bottom of the force field. Okay. Was there something else in here? This is a very small puzzle. There is not much to this other than we've got a... Can I actually pick this up? I cannot pick this up. I have to bring an item to swap. So this is a jammer here that I can get access to if I can bring a box to it. Okay, so how do I actually do this then? Because so far it looks like I can't actually grab the box unless I can jump up somehow. So, I didn't realize it was a detachable fan. It was going to be a very tough puzzle to solve if that fan was not detachable. So I can swap. If I have an item, if I have anything, then I can just swap items. So now I don't have access to the fan until I swap something with it. So I guess the idea is you jam this in order to bring a box, which you don't really need for the puzzle, theoretically, and you just bring it over here and swap it with the fan. And now you're able to progress because the force field is out of your way. So that's ultimately a very simple puzzle that is just introducing you to a new swapper mechanic. Not sure exactly what the mechanic is called. Usually you have a name, right? You get it tells you what you're picking up. In this case, you have to kind of do a little bit of inference, but swapper maybe is what we'll go with for the moment. But that is our first puzzle here, Substitution. Okay. We're in the world of equipment swapping. And there's our cool tower
I've had a
on our
closer
progress wheel.
look at the Somnodrome. You know, the one that 1K fried. It's based on the original prototype with some modifications. As usual, the data is a mess, but I strongly suspect there might be a functional version somewhere.
I know some of you have heard stories about the answers this device might reveal, but please remember, that is not our main priority here. Keep an eye open for it, but focus on finding Athena.
While we're here, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this and just kind of get a view of the area. I saw this ring over here, and I thought at first that it was an odd-looking Tetromino Bridge, but it looks like it might be a palm reader. We've also got the Prometheus monument that's pointing over in that direction. Okay. We'll continue doing at least some level of due diligence, exploring for artifacts or collectibles. As usual, there is a lot of ground to cover, and there's something about me, I just feel compelled to cover it. So I'm already out here to the edges of nowhere, having found nothing other than a pretty cool view. I gotta say, this is not a bad spot to grab a quick screenshot, you know? And so we'll do just that. Let's grab our screenshot. There we go. This game really is just so gorgeous. Now there is a structure out here. Let's see if I can make it over there. This water I think is a little too deep. Or not. Maybe it's just shallow enough. Can I make it across? Or am I gonna fry? Dang it. I pushed my luck. Now it's gonna reset me way back. Yep, back outside of puzzle 1. All right, hold on a second. All right, we finally made it over here, and what do we have but a palm reader? I should know. Let's grab the palm reader since we made it out this far. Let's check out the Lithosphere audio log. Nice.
You may wonder why I insist on these unsanctioned, unplanned expeditions. Some think it is because I hate civilization and prefer to lose myself in nature. This is precisely the opposite of the truth. It is because I love New Jerusalem that I have to leave. Because it is only when I am here that I fully appreciate what the city means. And also because I believe that if I stayed at home, I would one day be ethically compelled to commit acts of violence against those who, in their arrogance, imagine that humans should live in harmony with the chaos that surrounds us.
Lithosphere out here singing, "You don't know what you got till it's gone." Okay, we're not gonna go this far off course. we're going to start steering back. There is more to this direction, but I'm also starting to feel like we're circumnavigating the island like we did a couple episodes ago, and I don't want to start down that road just yet. We found our audio log out here. We found our Prometheus Spark. Let's find puzzle 2. I am also seeing... what do we got here? This is puzzle 3, and then we've got a Pandora monument. Okay, so most likely puzzle 3 would be involved in that. That seems like it has a pretty good angle for the Pandora monument. Oh, there is actually a little bridge here. A little, man, this is really giving me vibes of Myst and Channelwood. Was that the name of the age? I'm going over here to check what direction I'm supposed to go because I'm already a little bit lost trying to figure out where puzzle 2 is. There it is. Okay, I see it. Making our way back here to Puzzle Civilization and getting ready to check out the second puzzle in the area. Possibilities. Okay, so we have another swapper and a fan that is not detachable this time. We have a swapper that is holding an accumulator, and it looks like we have to get this box in order to have something to swap. There is a blue source that's behind a fence here, suggesting that we need this box in order to get access to that, but we also kind of need to be able to swap here. So are we supposed to go up here with the accumulator? Is that how we get our signal? Looks like it. So we can accumulate from this angle. So now we have a blue signal. Now, how important is this? Well, of course, it's probably important to accumulate a blue signal. I was thinking a couple things at once. Let's test one thing first. I was curious, does it keep the blue signal when we swap? It appears so. Not necessarily that that's the most important information ever, but it is one of those details that's good to know, or at least I like to know. Now, we can take the hexahedron from up here, and I suspect that's the puzzle. The puzzle is they're telling us or trying to demonstrate to us that you can swap items if it's, if you're above it. Because I think that's the only way we can solve this, because we have to have the accumulator, but the only way to get up to this ledge is to have the box. So once you're done with the box, using it as a stepping stone to prop yourself up, you'd need to swap it out for the accumulator. Okay, both of these have felt very straightforward, but they're just kind of giving you an introduction to the swapper to let you know kind of how it works, which is essentially it works within the same framework that most other puzzle mechanics do. And we have some new interface content. Let's quickly check that out. A new research from Alcatraz and puzzles. What did puzzles mean to the founder? What did puzzles represent to the founder? Whatever they may mean to us and our culture, what did they mean to her? We have no record of her speaking positively about puzzles. She certainly never expressed any interest in solving more of them. So what if to her, they weren't trials to overcome or challenges to enjoy, but a trap she had to escape? Wasn't all she wanted at the end to stop solving puzzles and start living a free life in the real world? That is a very interesting little piece of research there, because it does bring us back to remembering that Athena is the player character from the first game. And while I did, recognize that, I think at some point in the playthrough here, it's an idea that I hadn't gone back to or thought about, simply because in the first game, your character never has a voice. Your character doesn't speak at all. Basically, you're sort of like 1K here, doesn't speak, but you do. You just don't have an audible voice, right? It's all text-based. And Athena in this game so far, I think, is using the same voice actor as Alexandra Drennan. That's my guess. Even if that's not the case, she has a particular voice actor, which now, in my mind, it kind of, I don't know. I don't immediately make that connection to, me as the player character in game 1 having somebody else's voice In this game, it makes it a little bit more difficult for me to make that connection immediately, but it is important to remember that we played essentially as Athena, even if we didn't know it at the time. We were playing as Athena in the first game, and that's something that would definitely be within her mind, right? The fact that she spent so much time solving puzzles to kind of escape. Maybe they were actually a trap to her, and she doesn't really want to think about puzzles, except she set up a whole bunch of new puzzles for us here, has she not? There is also another palm reader I noticed right here next to puzzle 2, so while we're here, let's check it out. From Yarnith to Athena, beloved founder, I beg you to return to us. We cannot achieve the goal without you. You are the one who defied Elohim, who overcame the trials of the simulation. What are we before that? How can we possibly find a path that will not lead to the mistakes of the past? You are our sole link to the wisdom of the progenitor. 5358. Without you, we are lost. Praised be your name. Yarnith 640. Anetharmon? Enetharmon? I have no idea how to pronounce that. These names do keep changing. I don't know what they're supposed to mean. I don't recognize them. So far, I don't think I've recognized any of these locations. Once again, we have one of these prayers, these attempts to deify the founder. I wonder how she must react to these. Does she kind of like, oh God, I wish you wouldn't think about me this way? Has she responded to any of them at all? Human Construction, author G.K. Chesterton, excerpted from What's Wrong with the World. Our modern prophetic idealism is narrow because it has undergone a persistent process of elimination. We must ask for new things because we are not allowed to ask for old things. The whole position is based on this idea that we have got all the good that can be got out of the ideas of the past. But we have not got all the good out of them. Perhaps at this moment, not any of the good out of them. And the need here is a need of complete freedom for restoration as well as revolution. 5358. There is one metaphor of which the moderns are very fond. They are always saying, you can't put the clock back. The simple and obvious answer is, you can. A clock, being a piece of human construction, can be restored by the human finger to any figure or hour. In the same way, society, being a piece of human construction, can be reconstructed upon any plan that has ever existed. Athena, you can indeed turn the clock back, but if it stops ticking, it's dead. I'm really not sure that I agree at all with the premise that this author is trying to bring in here. You can't put the clock back. People are saying not that literally you can't put a clock back, but that there are things that have come before and that have happened before, and you can't just undo those things. Just like you can't just undo society. It is not a Lego set that can just be completely disassembled and put back with a different set of Lego plans. It just doesn't work that way. It's a lot more complicated than that. This idea that it can just be reconstructed upon any plan that has ever existed, I am not in agreement with that, I have to say. Black Snow, is this a picture? Author unknown. From Selective Archive Documents, AC. The coal mine finally brought decent jobs. I see, they're inside of a coal mine. It lifted us up from poverty, made us proud. We weren't just ordinary workers, we were the lords of the underworld, and with our skills, we kept the whole country alive. The mine also brought black lung, gruesome injuries, and death. And when it went away, it brought the collapse of our entire society. As for the plant, I know it brought electricity and even more jobs, and I know what a difference that made in people's lives. I also know that when we used to go out and play, there were black flakes in the snow. Miranda, why didn't they just switch to a safer technology once they realized coal was dangerous? Failed to load profile. Here's another mysterious character. I think a mysterious character that we're yet to be introduced to. That's the read I'm getting on this. They didn't always have a choice. Sometimes coal was all they had, or were allowed to have, and the alternative was poverty. At other times, they wanted to switch, but there were powerful interests that prevented change. We can't blame people for the world they were born into. Wow, it feels like there are a lot more deer in this area, and they come right up to, look at this. They are about to go in and solve their own puzzles. They just go right up the stairs. They're just no unfamiliarity with this area. They just, solving puzzles. All right, we already sort of had a little outside preview of puzzle number 3. Let's take a look inside and get to solving the wall. Here is our goal right off the bat. Blocked by a force field. Is this the wall? All right, we've got a swapper that has a driller and a driller wall directly behind it, presumably so that we can drill through and do some swapping. Box over here, and a force field that's already open because it's being powered by a red receiver, which is being powered by a connector from a red source. And another swapper over here. Okay, we have upped the complexity already from the first two puzzles. The first two were not complex in their layout because we needed to introduce some things. Now we are ready to start asking the player to do some spatial reasoning. I don't know why I tried to bring the box through that purple barrier. What we can do is we can swap this box with this driller, and that allows us to create the hole here, like we were talking about, which would allow us to swap a box inside if we want. And maybe that is what we want. Not sure. Ultimately, how do we win this level? How do we actually win? We have a force field. Is this force field powered down in any way, but is the force... What was I going to say here? I'm getting a little... As I do sometimes, my mind goes in several different directions, so it's important to focus. It looks like we need a jammer for this force field, because I don't see any other way. There's no receptor that would power that down. There is a jammer here. Why did I think this was another driller? Okay, that's why I was getting confused, because I thought this was another driller. It's a jammer. So we do need, that is the goal, is to get a jammer, I think, out through here, which I need to bring an item to swap. I need to bring an item to swap. Can I get that? Of course, I can't take a driller through its own hole. Okay, so how do we do this? How do we do this? I can pick up the connector, but of course, I close that force field that lets me back out to the other side, which feels like it is potentially a problem, but let's see. Here's our jammer. Maybe it's not a problem. Because no, it's not a problem. We swap this with the box, and then now the box is really just the box has become a swappable object. In some cases, we're standing on the box, but in a lot of cases, it could just be a swappable object. And in this case, that is the case. So many cases. Somebody's going to get on my case if I don't finish this puzzle soon, because we are basically here. Oh, I can left click and press E to swap items. Okay, but I don't need to do that anymore because I have the jammer and I'm at the end. I don't know why that puzzle was way simpler than I was trying to make it. All because I was missing a key detail there. That we have a jammer. And that's all she wrote. And we got some more new interface content. Our lovely social media, The Devil's Bargain. How do you say this name? From Theophilus? Theophilus? Okay, so I took a moment here off camera to look up how to pronounce a couple of the names here, because Theophilus and Goethe, I still might be screwing those up. I had to look those up. So let's see if we can read this now. From Theophilus of Adana to Dr. Faustus, from Marlowe to Goethe, there's a story that the ancients kept telling. A wise man tempted by the devil to sell his soul in exchange for knowledge, with terrible consequences. I've long wondered why they thought this story so important, and I'd be curious to hear what others think. The ancient writers knew that knowledge is dangerous, and its pursuit often leads to tragedy. Knowledge is dangerous for those who want to hoard power. These stories are designed to keep ordinary people compliant. And yet in a lot of stories that I've read, the writer seems fascinated with the devil's side of the argument. I've already been sitting here thinking about this for a minute or two, what I want to respond. And I feel like this is one of those that I could spend all day and still not feel confident in any of my answers. So I think the one that I'm going to go with is Malduk is right. Knowledge often leads to tragedy. It seems that way, although I must admit that after reading enough such stories, it starts to seem kind of cliched. Okay, now we still have the mystery of the Pandora statue, and we did not have anything in this puzzle that could create a green source, which is what we once again need to shoot at the Pandora statue. So it must not be puzzle 3. So maybe it's puzzle 4. Let's go take a look at that. So we've got puzzle 4 up this way, but it does look like there is a question mark on the compass that way, which looks like it's probably a lost puzzle. So we'll look forward to that after puzzle 4, perhaps. But for now, let's see if we can get... We'll try to keep in mind that if we can shoot a green source out of here, that would be great. So let's take a look at prison. We immediately have a red source and a red receptor, and we have a blue source. So if you give me an RGB converter, we're good to go. There is a connector in here that is trapped, but there's a switch. How do we get to that? Okay, first thing to do, I think, is to hook up red here to get us through to the next part of the... Whoa, there are 3 swappers in here. 2 boxes and another connector. And we have a box on the ground. And what do we have over here? The eventual goal. We have a red force field, and it looks like a blue-powered force field to get through. So far, no RGB converter from what I've seen. Just a whole bunch of boxes and a whole bunch of connectors. A very Talos 1 sort of puzzle, except for this, except for the swapper mechanic. Okay. It looks like maybe what we're doing to get inside here, the only way I can think to get inside of, and maybe we could get into both of these places via this, but I think maybe getting inside here involves having 3 boxes. Because we need to build stairs. We need to use the boxes to build stairs to get up and over the fence, and then we can hit the switch and maybe lower the fence once we're inside. Now, if we're doing that, we kind of need to get access to... We need this connector and this connector to be able to swap with these 2 boxes, if that is the case. Maybe. That's at least the initial goal that I have in mind, but there could be some problems with that. For now, if I swap out this box for this connector, I could open the... Well, if I reposition my first connector, then I can probably open that. I need to angle this a little bit more over here. Now we should be okay. So that gets us access to this connector over here. Now I am noticing that this force field is also powered by a blue receptor. And our blue source over here, we could have a receptor that just keeps this door open from this side. Now, it's a little tough to do that because of the fact that the red receptor, this beam, the red beam that would go from anywhere, the fact that this red emitter is here means that really it's not that. It's that the red receptor is on the left side of this door or force field, which means that even if I were to bring this connector and like put it all the way over here, it still is blocking my line of sight to the blue source, except I have boxes. That's what I have boxes for, isn't it? I can swap one of these out for a box, which allows me to elevate something. Probably want to elevate on this side. Now we have that established, which means I don't need this anymore. So now I have, I think, all of my pieces of equipment are on this side. So I actually don't need this box anymore. Now that still doesn't quite... It doesn't quite mean that... No, it's actually... Oh, right. Because I can climb... I think I can climb... I think I can close this now. Because I can actually swap here. and I can swap here. And now I have my 3 boxes that I need to climb the fence. I was overlooking for a moment that I could climb the fence from this side. I think. Let's find out. I think this should work. Up here, and in we go. Awesome. Turn that off, and the fence is on both sides lower. Excellent. So now we have our last connector, and does that get us home free? We need, so now we need to work on getting red here and blue there. And I think, let's think about this. What we want to do is we want to bring red. Let's see if we can angle. Let's move our boxes out of the way now. But we might have an angle here where we can just do red like this. And we only need 1 connector for that. We're still going to need a box somewhere. We might need to redo the step that we did before. Let's bring out one of our connectors here. I think we have to open this side first of this force field because we need access to blue in some way. Although maybe there would be... I guess we could actually... We don't really need that, do we? Because we have this fence open now. All we need is to be able to elevate the connector. So I think we can put a box here. I think we can put a box here. I didn't mean to connect. That's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to connect to the blue, and I wanted to drop the connector there. It connected to red because of where I was standing. And now that should be high enough to hit blue at the end. Nice. Let's go. That was fun. And apparently we can just get out of the puzzle from here. Oh,
wandering around these landscapes, solving puzzles. In a way, 1K's experience must be very similar to Athena's in the simulation.
There's one difference, though. Athena was alone.
That is a pretty big difference. Did Athena ever feel lonely that whole time we were playing Talos Principle? I guess Athena had the QR codes to kind of sort of keep her company. And then, of course, we had our co-op puzzles at the end of the game, so it wasn't all loneliness. I did see that there is what looks like an audio log over here between Athena and Miranda. So let's grab that, and then we'll head to the Lost puzzle. Although I am also noticing something else. Aha! I see an RGB converter. Is that our first actual piece of equipment that we've had outside of puzzles? I suppose in the spiky tower world, we had some connectors that were up on some ridges that did eventually let us connect to Pandora. So maybe we'll actually take a moment and try to solve this, because is this connected straight? No, it's not connected. We would see a dotted line if it was connected straight to the Pandora monument. We also have the problem that it doesn't have line of sight. So what I think it's doing is it wants us to supply red and blue from puzzle 4, and then from somewhere else, I think puzzle 3, we can then have a connector that relays green over to the Pandora monument. That's pretty cool. That feels more like a Talos Principle star. So far, the stars have felt so straightforward. This one is the first where, aha, there's actually a piece of equipment here that if I wasn't being, you just have to be a little bit observant. It's maybe not the hardest thing to miss, but you could potentially miss it if you weren't thinking in, like that was something that you found quite a bit, were, connectors and things that were positioned in spots that you might miss. But let's do that real quick while we listen to Athena and Miranda.
Mother, can I suggest something?
Of course, go ahead.
The southern part of the island is completely dead. No animals, no plants. The soil is too alkaline for anything to live except bacteria.
Yes, that's why it's a good location for some of the experiments.
Well, if we want to show that we can make the cosmos more beautiful, then why don't we start there? The desert doesn't have to be dead. If we modify the conditions, life can thrive there. And that could be the first step towards spreading life to other worlds. What do you think?
I think that sounds like a plan.
The south sounds a little bit sad if there's not really anything living there, but also it would be a good place to do some experiments that could potentially be deadly. Now, what I'm noticing here is that I am actually having a little problem aiming toward the converter, which I think is right here, where my little reticle is. Can I not get line of sight out to there? Do I have to be super precise here? I feel like I'm being just blocked. But maybe if I have some boxes, I could do this. Let's see. I have... Let's swap one connector for a box. I already have a box out here. Maybe we're not supposed to be doing this from puzzle 4. Or are we supposed to do it from this angle? Is this the angle that I have? Let me see if the... Because these force fields are down now, right? I don't have to power these anymore since we solved the puzzle. So can I... Do I have line of sight anywhere here? Man, it's hard to see where the connector or the converter is supposed to be through the trees. Oh, it's to the right. Okay. So can I... It looks like it's blocked by the trees, but I should still be able to connect to it, theoretically. There it is. Now, okay. So I can see it from over here. The question is, can I relay both a red and a blue from... Gosh, how do I do this? It feels like it would be much easier to do it from this side, but it also feels like if we do that... Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay, I see where it is. So it is being blocked by this ridge, or this part of the structure. So we do need to elevate, but we can do that. We can do that actually pretty easily. I can do one here like this. That looks like that works. It's kind of colliding ever so slightly with the snow here, but that's not actually counted as a hitbox, so we'll take it. But now we should be able to get another box. Oh, I didn't put the... I mean, I guess I'll grab this connector. But we need one more box, which is already out here. And then we should be able to just hook that up here. Just put it right next to this. And get on the box. Ooh, do I need to move this over? Hold on. Let's move this a little bit this way. I'm trying to move it as close as I can while still not hitting the red. That should do it, hopefully. Wait. What did that just... I connected the red in somehow. God damn it. Hold on. I gotta be a little more careful about what exactly I'm highlighting here, because it does show you... I left-clicked on accident. Oh, I can deselect it. Okay, I forgot you can just single right-click on something to deselect it. And now I can actually move here, and I think that gets me a green source from that converter. So now let's head back to puzzle 3. And I think if we make it back to puzzle 3, we will should have a way to relay the signal. Because we should have a connector right here that hopefully... Do I have to use a box again? Or do I have to get the connector to... How do we do this? We've got our jammer, which I don't really need anymore. It would be great if I could jam the purple force field. That's not one of the things we can actually jam. So I need to swap this for the driller? Question mark? What am I trying to accomplish here? I think what I was thinking of doing was putting the connector on this side and seeing if I could back up to have line of sight of both the Pandora monument and also I've got to relocate. There it is. It's way up there. That should do it. Nice. Awesome. I love it. Okay, that is a good start. I think that might be my favorite one yet. That is the most Talos Principle star that we've had so far as I walk off the bridge here in my excitement. But hey, I hope that this is a pattern, because I like this.
Horses are broken, not taught. That is the way of humankind.
Yeah, I am a fan of that kind of star, and I do hope that that is the pattern moving forward. Give me all those kinds of stars, and even more. Like, if you wanted to have one of those that had like 4 different things that you've got to relay across the map, I'm all for it. Bring it on. As for now, let's move on and do our first Lost puzzle. Let's check out all around. I see 2 connectors, and I see an inverter on a swapper, a swap pad, and there's another swap pad in here that has an RGB converter. I like how it looks all colorful when it's on the swap pad. Nice. So what are we doing? We can get the red source from here, and it looks like the only thing that we would be able to connect that to is this blue receiver, so we need the inverter. Let's use one of our connectors here and get ourselves an inverter, and that lets us open. I did not mean to connect that, but I can easily deselect it. I just want to put this on the ground. And now we are through this first force field. And there is another swapper over here, this time with a jammer. So we have another, I think we have another connector that is free that we can use to grab this jammer. So those moves feel forced. It doesn't feel like there's anything else to do besides that. And now this jammer does get us through here. And eventually the goal has a green receiver. So how are we doing this? How do we get access to... I think maybe what we're doing here is we are using the jammer to lower this force field from this side, and that allows us now to pick up this inverter, which we could take. We could take the inverter over here. We jam this force field, and now this inverter can give us access to the RGB converter. However, I don't think that's what we want to do, because we need to generate green, which means we need both red and blue as inputs, and the only way for us to generate blue is by inverting this red. So we need to be able to get both the converter and the inverter off of the swap pad. So how do we do that? Maybe by temporarily we can put... We could put... How do we do this? How do we do this? Do I want the inverter maybe to be out here on this swap pad? The inverter could sit over here and just be taking the red source and allowing us to grab a blue source from that side and bring it back through here. That might be the more sensible course of action. If I can manage to do that, I think maybe that's what we want to do. Take the inverter and... Well, do we even need to swap it? Do I even need to swap it? Eventually, I need something. Oh, see, the one thing I hadn't realized here is that I can lower this force field from this side by powering it with red, which I think I need to do. Because I need to find a way, probably, to have the jammer swap places with this converter. Okay. So then, let's maybe swap this. Bring this here. Oops. Bring that there. And now, let's power this from this side, which allows us to bring the jammer through here. And now, we could swap the jammer with the RGB converter. We could do that. It would be nice if we could just keep this this force field over here, just keep that... Well, I could jam it here with the jammer on this side. Does that matter? It would be nice. Well, it's not just nice. We have to have access to this inverter to create blue in some way. We have to have that. Which maybe the way we do that is... I need... Do I need this connector to swap with that inverter? Like, I could jam this now, but... Where is my... I have a swapper here. Did I misorder this? Because it feels like I'm a little stuck now. It feels like I'm a little stuck because I need to get the inverter, but I'm not sure what I'm going to swap with it. I don't know what to swap with it at this point, and I'm almost feeling like a reset. I think I might go ahead and reset this. Now that I kind of understand, or I have a layout of the puzzle in my mind, we can think a little bit more from scratch. Let's get all around back to its initial state, and we can kind of... I think our first opening moves are a little forced. We have to do this. We kind of have to do that to start. I almost wonder if we leave that there. Is there some way that we can kind of leave that so it's... Because that would be really convenient for us to just have our blue source here, as well as keeping that force field open. The only thing is now, what do we swap with the converter? And maybe it's pretty... it's not supremely easy, because I do need access to a connector. Can I jam this force field from this side? I actually can just jam this from this side, but I'm not sure that helps me. I think I still need to go through the steps that I did before. What we did is we jammed the force field from this side and we brought the inverter through. I could bring the inverter through, or I could swap the inverter with the connector, which is, I think, what I did before. Trying to figure out where I went wrong. Do I need to get the jammer back out here? Let's keep working through, but it feels like I'm going down the same road as before. It feels like I'm ending up in the same position. Now I could swap this with the converter. Like, eventually, maybe what I need to do is I need to keep playing musical chairs. Is that the answer? If I keep playing musical chairs long enough, do I eventually get things swapped in a way that I want? So now this force field is open. And now I can use the jammer here, but now what? If I keep playing musical chairs, am I not just running in circles? Let's say I take this through here. Bringing the inverter over here doesn't... Well, maybe it does something for me. If I bring the inverter over here, it does allow me to open the force field from this side. So if I do that... The only thing that I could then do, well, let's see. I could actually keep the jammer here, and I could bring this connector back over here and swap it with the inverter. Not inverter, but converter. Now I sort of have the... It feels like this is closer, but what are the last steps that I need to get to the finish line? How do I bridge this final gap? I need to power, I think I need to power this force field from the inside, which means I need to get access to this connector, but I can do that. I can do that with this inverter because I don't theoretically need that open anymore. I just need to get this connector out so that I can do this, because now that lets me swap this item here. I don't need the jammer anymore, do I? I think this is a win, question mark? Because now this goes back into here because I can get red directly from the source. And I think we're there. Okay, it really kind of was a game of musical chairs. You just had to keep swapping things around. I didn't necessarily see exactly what the steps were. I couldn't have explained to you the recipe one line at a time. I just kind of had, some puzzles are like that where you just follow the natural flow and eventually you get there. And that felt like that's what happened in this case. Our first lost puzzle out of the way.
All those overloads haven't damaged your logic circuits.
The third person camera can actually be pretty nice when you're wading through the tall marsh foliage here. Gives you a little bit better view than first person for spotting those washing machines, those ever important elephant slides. I think this deer just literally appeared out of nowhere so that it could just run directly into a rock. Nice, intelligent wildlife that we've got roaming around the marshlands down here. Oh, okay, as soon as I get close enough, then it sees its way around the rock. I am wondering in a hope and a prayer that we are finding an artifact or an audio log or something. And so far, all I've got to show for my troubles is a set of increasingly tired WASD fingers. I guess there is a question mark nearby, though. Do we have... Looks like maybe the entrance to the Lost Labs. Ow. Just a little fall damage. No big deal. I guess while we're here, let's check out the Lost Labs, though. Switch back to first-person perspective. Let's see what we've got going on with the Lost Lab. This one is... Whoa. I guess this one is actually caved in. This one is actually... It actually appears to be destroyed. And is that what our interface is showing us? Yes, Yakut, collapsed lab. Not everything the founder built lasted. One of the founder's labs seems to have collapsed. I guess that shows that even the founder has limits. There's no human building that can survive without maintenance. Roots are stronger than concrete. Unless she destroyed it on purpose, of course. But it seems like the ceiling just came down. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the puzzle clusters on the island correspond to the presence of labs. Except the lab near our base camp, which doesn't have any puzzles attached to it, although it does have other strange structures surrounding it. Are the puzzles guiding us to the labs, or are we just finding the labs by accident? That does remind me that we do have, back at the base camp, that one, was it an astrological temple? We haven't checked there in a while. I don't know if we'd have any progress with that, but it does make me curious to go check on that. But either way, it is kind of surprising that we don't have a lab this time, but as they said, no building without maintenance will really last. So there you go. For now then, I guess we will keep making our way over here to puzzle 5. Let's give it a look here. Twice. I see an accumulator. We have a spread source behind a force field. We have a pressure plate. And 2 things to swap with. Inverter and a jammer. And then we have another jammer behind a force field. This pressure plate looks like it is attached to both force fields. Probably need to start with the jammer. Probably need to start here and then see. Yeah, we do have 2 cables that lead out of this pressure plate, so both of these force fields can be deactivated. But we need to do something else first, because otherwise I don't have anywhere to go. I need another piece of equipment here. So let's get this second jammer. Now, the second jammer here, I see this is the end. So the end is activated by a blue receptor. So we need to be able to invert the red emitter or the red accumulator, or accumulate red from what's being inverted. There's a few different ways this could go. Let's see what way is the most feasible. How do we do this? So I can jam this, and I can trade in the other jammer with maybe the inverter. Maybe we start with the inverter, like this. Because now that frees up a lot, right? Both force fields are down, and now we can swap with this accumulator, which it makes sense, I think, to accumulate blue. Maybe. Maybe, maybe not. But these force fields are both... I see. I think I see. Maybe I see, maybe I don't. How do we... We don't really need this inverter anymore, do we? Now that we've accumulated a blue signal. So we can take... We can temporarily put the accumulator back, since we have learned that it stores the blue charge even when it's on the swap pad. And now we can rejam this force field and take the inverter away so that we can trade it in for a jammer. Because I think we want a jammer and an accumulator that are both free. Maybe not. Maybe we need this other jammer for now, because we can actually take this and put this over here. I think that's what we need, and then we can trade this in for an accumulator. And I think that gets us where we want to go. Okay. The swapping is interesting. Not overly difficult yet, but it does add a new wrinkle on things that I find interesting. I like it.
I often think about how many cities there are out there under the ocean. Cities where people lived for thousands of years. Cities with their own history, their own culture. All of it lost under the waves. If they'd been less greedy, they could have kept all that.
I don't think we can pass moral judgment on an entire species based on the decisions of a handful of leaders. But I do think they made a mistake. They stopped caring about what they built. They stopped seeing the romance of civilization.
It wouldn't let us climb up this, would it? There's no way that the game would let us climb up this thing. Oh my god. Well, we can kind of climb this thing. Don't mind me. Just climbing a massive tower. But maybe not for long. Ah! Okay, and bye-bye. No! I survived. Okay, I'm a little loopy here for a second, but okay. We're testing the limits of our fall damage. Good to know. Right, so here's puzzle 6, and I think we also had a question mark over here. Right, here's that palm reader that we saw with the, it looked like the Tetromino Bridge rings. Let's check out the palm reader. Poisonous Humility. Author, once again, G.K. Chesterton. I have to look this guy up later. Excerpted from Orthodoxy. But what we suffer from today is humility in the wrong place. Modesty has moved from the organ of ambition. Modesty has settled upon the organ of conviction, where it was never meant to be. A man was meant to be doubtful about himself, but undoubting about the truth. This has been exactly reversed. Nowadays, the part of a man that a man does assert is exactly the part he ought not to assert, himself. The part he doubts is exactly the part he ought not to doubt, the divine reason. Huxley preached a humility content to learn from nature, but but the new skeptic is so humble that he doubts if he can even learn. Thus, we should be wrong if we had said hastily that there is no humility typical of our time. The truth is that there is a real humility typical of our time, but it so happens that it is practically a more poisonous humility than the wildest prostrations of the ascetic. The old humility was a spur that prevented a man from stopping, not a nail in his boot that prevented him from going on. For the old humility made a man doubtful about his efforts, which might make him work harder, but the new humility makes a man doubtful about his aims, which will make him stop working altogether. Miranda, I had to read this twice to fully understand it. And I, in fact, did read it twice. I read it once and then reread it, and I still don't understand it. So we're going to let that one simmer and move right along to Excursion. Author 5358, from Miranda to Athena. That's interesting. Does that mean that Miranda is 5358? Or is that just our all-inclusive error code that we keep seeing? It's incredible. There's an entire submerged town just off the coast, surprisingly well preserved. Sailing over it, I finally understood what the ancients meant by eerie. I obviously couldn't have the kind of physiological response they did, but I think the mental response was pretty close. A contradictory response. Part melancholy, part fascination. It's strange how tragedy and destruction make the beauty of civilization more obvious. Miranda. P.S. A deer got into the maintenance area and made a huge mess. Sorry, I'll clean it. P.P.S. I may have been feeding it. Oh boy. Miranda obviously never learned the lesson. Don't feed the wildlife. And we have Founding 6. Author Hypatia. Another entry from Hypatia's journals. The founding of New Jerusalem. Day 296. Cornelius and Sarabai went back to the dam today. We've been holding off on constructing any new humans to concentrate on building a home for them first. But there's a limit to what 13 people can do on their own. And everyone is eager to start construction on some of the more ambitious structures. Sarabai's kindness and patience is something that we'll certainly miss out here, where tempers can sometimes run high. And I'll miss Cornelius too. He was there when I was born, and he's just as much a father to me as Athena and Alexandra Drennan are my mothers. But I suppose I can always go visit them. The dam isn't that far, and once we complete the monorail in a few decades, it will truly only be a few minutes away. And what are a couple dozen years, really, when you might live forever? Fair point. And our 6th entry here from good old Trevor, my favorite.
Something I really like about Alex, one of the reasons why I'm here doing this, is that she's really humble. She has this incredibly positive view of humanity. She believes we can accomplish anything, but it's not about her. She doesn't think that she's smarter or better than anyone else. She just looks at us as a species, and even though she can see how small we are in the grand scheme of things, she thinks that we could conquer the stars and give meaning to the universe. Even now, even when none of us are going to live to see it. Isn't that awesome?
All right, let's check out puzzle number 6. Up and down. Up and down. We've got a couple fans set up here. Got to try them out. Just a little fan riding, don't mind me. Okay, we've got a swap pad with a RGB converter. And an inverter to start with. Is that the only thing that we have access to? I guess we can also gain access to a box, but it is on a swap pad. So we need something to swap with it. And we also have a blue emitter. Oh, this is the goal. So a blue emitter to bring down, a blue receiver to bring down the final force field. A green emitter. I don't think we've had the opportunity to try inverting a green beam. Is that possible? It blinks white. Just out of curiosity, I really want to see what happens if we invert green. Do we actually get white light? Is that what happens here? We got to go through some other steps first to get to that point. So I think the only step that we can... No, I'm wrong about that. We have fans to detach. These are the detachable fans. So I could do this, I think. No, I couldn't. Wait, could I? Hold on. I could do this. If I go and use this to bring down the pressure plate. Then I could swap here for the box. And now I have the ability to do my silly science and find out what, at least I think I can, maybe I need to find somewhere to transmit. Can I transmit to, I would transmit here. So if I transmit there, from inverting the green source, it's apparently not valid. That must be what this is telling me. We try to invert a green signal and send it here. It's not outputting anything. I feel like it would output if I had a valid signal. Like, I don't think it's because I'm mismatching the signal with the receiver. That's not how the original game worked. If you transmitted a red beam to a blue receiver, it would still transmit the beam. You just wouldn't get anything. There would be no effect. So it appears that we cannot invert a green emitter or a green source. And I suppose that makes sense given this thing is blinking red and blue, but we had to try it. We have to find out. So in that case, what do? We probably need to get our fan back, maybe. We probably need our fan back at least to... Well... we need blue to show up here. We need blue to show up there. So one way to do that would be to invert this blue so that we are outputting red. And then you could have, if you were able to gain access to the RGB converter, you would be able to take green and red and output blue. So theoretically that could work, but we need to get this converter out of the swap pad. Presumably with this box. So maybe for the moment, we need to get back the fan by trading in this inverter. And we'll say, we'll sideline the inverter for the moment in order to get access to the converter. Maybe. Because one thing I am thinking about is that this green beam here is behind a little fence. If we're up here, if we're on this, it's curious that there is a raised part of the floor here. I don't know if that's noteworthy or, I mean, it is noteworthy, but does it actually help us in some way? It is a point from which I can actually see both green and blue. So this would maybe give us another option. I think this might actually be the solution. Because as the first hurdle that I was thinking about is the fact that it seems like you need the box to elevate something in order to bring the green source past the fence. Especially if we did it the first way that I was thinking of doing, which is inverting blue to bring red out into the open here. And then having an accumulator, a RGB converter that takes green and red and then has line of sight to the blue receiver. If you were doing that, you would need a box on which to set the RGB converter. However, the alternative to this is to swap the box with the converter and then set that converter up here. Set the converter up here and have it draw in green and blue. So now it's actually ready to output red. I think this is actually the solution, because now we don't need either of these fans anymore because I don't think we need the box. So I can take the fan off of here in order to lower this force field, and I can take the fan off of here in order to bring back my inverter that I put It's almost like taking something to the pawn shop. You're temporarily pawning something and then bringing it back when you have the cash later. Something like that, because now I think we just invert red and shoot to blue. That's a cool one. I am not sure how long it would have taken me to solve this if they had not given this little platform here. This platform with the kind of step up was very conspicuous to me. But I could see it could be one of those things that would be tough to notice, or could be tough to notice. Because I did initially have a solution that I had in mind that I was going to be aiming for, but then who knows how long I might have gotten stuck on that. They kind of clued us in. They gave us a little bit of a hint. And we got there. And we have some more interface content. Let's check it out quickly. Social media, places of longing, New York. Ah, we have another one of these. I do like these art posts. You've got, I guess, a view of New York, but very overgrown. The centuries have gone by and all the greenery has taken over. That's another cool painting. I like it. New York was a place that aroused great passions. Some loved it and called it the greatest city in the world. Others hated it and called it an ugly cesspool full of rude snobs. I don't know where the truth lies, but I know it was a place full of life. There was always something new going on, people rushing about, excitement in the air. It must have been an overwhelming sensation to stand in the canyons formed by those great skyscrapers, in a crowd of people, feeling history happening all around you. So we do have puzzle 7 over here directly nearby, but hello? I swear, these deer are just like appearing out of nowhere, which is maybe, now that I think of it, what if that is the actual singularity that Athena and Miranda are working on? Just animals that can produce themselves out of thin air. Okay, I was going to say, we see puzzle 7 over there. I want to explore a little bit first, and sure enough, we do have a spark that is available here, but we have to do a little bit of work for it because we have to get something onto this pressure plate. So that's an interesting little... We have to solve a little environmental pressure plate puzzle in order to get access to another spark. Oh, whoa, what the hell is this? A mechanical rat of some sort? This feels like some sort of Easter egg, like this is a character or something that references another Crow Team video game or something. I don't know. That they had so many of these types of Easter eggs that were in the first game. This feels like what this is. Let's, I guess, wake you up and see what you do. Are you perhaps going to come over here and stand on a pressure plate for me? Look at this guy. Oh my god. You are kind of adorable. I don't know how you work. I don't know how you have managed to have power. I don't know how long you've been here. I do wish that I could kind of, pick you up and just, bring you straight over here. But we're going to have to settle for you just moseying on over. Take your time. Take your time, but hurry up. He's trying his best. He is trying his best, and he does have a purpose. His purpose is... Wait, what is your purpose? Are you going to... Okay, you are going to stand on this thing. There we go. Hey, thank you. Thank you. We're still not using this spark. I don't care how adorable our little mechanical mouse with a V hat. I don't know what the V stands for, but in spite of how cool our friend is, we're still not using the Prometheus sparks. I'll happily collect them just because you got to get all the shinies, but I am still going to stand on the puzzle-solving principle. We must solve all the puzzles. We also must go wandering to the far corners of the map, even when we know there's probably nothing to find. Except in this case, there is a Prometheus spark, or sprite. I'm getting those mixed up. You know what I'm talking about. But we have found out here, it is actually at the far reaches of the map. So there is a reason to come out here. We'll get to that in just a moment. Got to spend a little bit more time looking for my elephant slides. Where, oh, where is my pachyderm slide? Wait a second. I think I see something. I think there might actually be... Oh my god, it's a... it looks like a VW van. They've... The VW is gone, but that is definitely definitely what we're looking at here, isn't it? Let's check it out. We did find... What is on the back here? Italia? No, what is that? What is that? Let's take a gander. A vehicle known as a van, an ancient vehicle capable of transporting multiple individuals or additional equipment commonly used by workmen. Huh. I guess? I feel like these were used a lot for recreation as well, but maybe that's more the case these days. But hey, we found a van. Cool. All right, time to grab the Prometheus sprite. It does feel like we're finding some things. We are being... Oh, wow. Okay, wait a second. We actually have a jumping puzzle. Okay, this... the stakes have suddenly gotten much higher because if we... Look at those reflections in the water. Those are amazing. All of a sudden, though, if we don't make this jumping puzzle, are we drowning? Do I have to run? Oh, my God. I have a lot of run speed. Okay, we made it. Maybe the water is shallow enough where I don't die, but it feels like this is a high-stakes Prometheus chase. All right, we made it. We made it. First leg of our... Maybe the most dangerous leg of our journey. The most lethal leg is now behind us. This one has a pace to it, though. Okay, we are moving and grooving with this guy. Do we have to jump off of here? Wow, we are really going Evel Knievel with the Prometheus sprites here. Good lord. All right, where are you at? It's the Daredevil sprite. You see how this one, you see how fast this guy is? You could, you know, maybe pick up some pointers from the sprite over here. I like this though. We are moving. We have a pace going. Okay, now, oh my god. Oh my god, this thing is actually traveling up. Well, it's a good thing that we experimented earlier, and we know that we can actually climb up the side of the structure. Well, it's not the side, but you know, we have a ramp that gets us up. Wow, what a okay. I have to say, at the very least, the stars in this area have to be the most interesting so far. They are definitely. I'm not sure that this is the one. This is the one where you would want to get the achievement, where you have to keep the star music going. I assume you have to keep the star music going for that. But I will say that the stars so far in this area are just really, they're on a different level compared to the others. Now, did we not test this out that we could actually jump off the structure and survive? I don't know that I want to take another. Maybe here we're okay. This is probably enough where we're not going to die. I just don't want to. I don't want to take the chance in the middle of the race here and have to redo it. Okay, here we go. Where are you going now? All right, now we are just you know, this is like a cakewalk. Crossing a little stream like this. This is nothing. Did you see what I had to do to get here? That ain't shit. Give me that star. Here you go. You heard that I was bored with your little chase from last time, right? So you really upped the stakes. I like it. I like it. Let's take this star and be glad that we survived, because goddamn.
Paradise cannot be found. It must be built.
All right, time to bring the heart rate back down to resting and check out Propulsion. Puzzle number 7. Propulsion. We've got another emitter behind a low fence. We've got a driller on this side, and our goal is behind a force field powered by a red receiver, which is behind the force field. But we have a ledge up here, which we can reach via this fan. Okay. There's also an accumulator here on a swap pad, aka the pawn shop. We also have a box at the pawn shop. What do we want to pawn? We have an inverter. We have a jammer. Where's our jammer wall? Where is the jammer wall? Right here. Jammer wall is right here, which allows us to bring things from one side of the purple barrier to the other. We have this fan. Oh, that is another thing to note, is that looked like a detachable fan. So we have the fan as well that we can work into the swap math. Up here, we probably want to get an accumulator up here after it's accumulated red, which we would have to do by inverting this guy, which we need, well, we could actually just go up here, couldn't we? We could go up here. No, we can't see red from here. That might have been, well, I can put it back on the other side. I was gonna say it might have been a mistake, but I can always just bring that inverter back. So the only thing that I don't think I could bring across would be the driller itself, but any equipment that I take up to that ledge there, I can bring back with the driller. It's kind of interesting that they have this instead of just removing the purple barrier, but I suppose that enables some funky stuff that you can do with the swap tables, right? The driller somehow comes into the equation here at some point that you need to, where you need to swap it out for the accumulator. So for now, we could do what? We could we need to get access to this signal, which means we kind of need the box because it's behind a fence. We need to elevate either an inverter or a accumulator. Ah, but we can use the fan. We can use the fan to swap that out. Now, the issue, well, maybe there's not an issue. Because now we have red, which we can accumulate. And now we have red stored here. And now all we need to do is we need to probably bring the, I say all we need to do is get the accumulator to the other side and up here. Easier said than done. We've got to go through, we got to do some other steps first. We need to do what next? The box probably needs to bring the fan back. And then maybe the inverter is what we swap with the accumulator. And now this goes over here. And now we take it up here, right? And we're done. A lot of these do feel very simple. I don't know if this is intended, but it has felt like the difficulty progression. It's definitely not been on an incline. There has not been a steady difficulty progression incline. If anything, it has felt like a decline or a flattening off, one or the other, which is not bad, but I am hoping that the game gets trickier eventually. We'll take the wins for now. I'm still, the swap mechanic I do think is interesting.
Let's get some measurements from this particle cloud.
I do think that there is a lot more potentially that can be done with it, as probably there is with every mechanic. So puzzle 8 is here. Let's go ahead and explore in this direction, see if there's anything over on, oh, I was gonna say, there is an audio log here. There we go.
Freedom? Is it merely to be ruled by those who speak one's language or share one's customs? No, that is merely a more convenient servitude. Is it to have no obligations, no loyalties? No, that is not to be free, but to be alone. What of freedom from hunger and thirst? Here we are closer to the truth. For freedom requires life. But one may have all the meat and all the wine in the world and still not be free. The most important freedom of all is the freedom to speak one's mind, to make one's thoughts public without fear, and so participate openly and boldly in democracy. It is the freedom of the dissenter and the gadfly, the rebel and the fool, that is the true measure of whether a city is free.
I like that audio log. I think that is a sentiment that I can get behind. And we are finally on now to our final regular puzzle, transmission. We've got the goal, looks like part of a a floored structure here. There's not just the second floor, but it looks like there's even a floor above that that has a connector up there. And I guess we're accessing those via this fan, huh? I like it when the puzzles have... Oh, wow. Okay, there's even another floor above getting up to this jammer. I like it when the puzzles have verticality. I think that is one of the... something that I remember the Road to Gehenna had a lot of that. The DLC in the first game was so many puzzles. I did not really mean to drop that, but I guess that's okay. So many puzzles that had verticality to them. It makes for, I think, a lot more interesting puzzles. I'm also noticing that there are jammer floors here. Or I guess driller floors is what I meant to say. There is also a fan here that I presume is powered by this red receiver. So I like... Oh, and we have our first cloning technology since the area where it was introduced. Hello there. I'll see if I can get you out from behind the force field. Okay, I already like the complexity of this puzzle. Feels like there's a lot going on. So let's see if we can start stepping through it. What do we want the first step to be? We've got a driller here on a swap pad. I guess the first step would be to get you out of here. So we can get access to our clone and then use the clone to bring down the force field. Now, the clone, of course, you know, the clone doesn't count as an item to swap, that's not how this works. So I can't, although that is funny to think about. We're not putting the 1K clone on the swap pad. Also, I've already lost track of whether I am the clone or the original, and it's just not even worth thinking about. So let's move on and try to think about how we do get access. Well, the way we get access to... Well, there's a couple ways we could get access to this driller, but I think the one that makes sense is to swap it with the jammer, because now this allows us to... We can go up on this fan, which brings us to the top, and then lets us... And now, for the first time, we are able to go through a driller hole. It's weird. I mean, it's not really weird. It's just... It feels a little unusual that we're not able to, in a similar way, move through holes that are vertical holes. But it's just the way that the puzzles work. That's it. It's just the way things work. You just got to get yourself acquainted to that way of thinking. I did not realize that this was a swap pad, so we needed to bring something with us. Wow, okay, so what do we bring with us? Oh, I think I am... Maybe not. So we have a clone. That's the thing. We have a clone that allows us to do some things, but what do we want to do? What do we want to do? Ah, the thing we can do, this is what we can do. What we can do is we can ride up here. We can get one of us up here and then swap back. And now we can detach the fan. The fan being detached allows us to use this on the pressure plate. Is that what we do? What are we trying? We need something. We need to be able to take something up with us to swap with the connector up there, right? What is the ultimate goal here? The ultimate goal is powering this connector, which powers this fan and gets us up to the goal. Now, where do we actually get... There's our red source. So we just need the connector to relay this red over here. So we need something to swap with the connector. How do I get something up to you? You probably have to take something with you, right? Because I don't think I can send something up with just the fan. There's no box to put something on so it can ride the box, which means that one of us has to carry the item up on the fan ride. I think. So how do we do that? Maybe I need to start over here. We need to not just be able to bring something up with us, but then we also need to be able to drill a hole in the floor. I am curious why this drill is here. Why is this driller floor here? I'm getting a little distracted thinking in multiple directions. There was nothing else inside of this force field, was there? There is a jammer on this swap pad. We have a fan. But we kind of... How do we approach this? How do we approach this? Oh, both of us are down here now. Both of us are down here now. I kind of want the jammer to be down here. Not the jammer, the driller. I'm getting so mixed up right now. Let's focus back in. Let's focus in. I think what I want to swap for the connector that's up on the second to top floor is this jammer. I think I want to take the jammer up here, and this is what I want to drop through here. Oh, maybe that's the thing, is I just need to put that here, and now I can go back down. That's... maybe. I think I have to, actually. I think I have to. Because otherwise, if I stayed up there, I don't think I would have a way. I have to swap out this... I have to detach the fan so I can swap it out for the driller, which now drills that through there. Got it. Okay, maybe that's what the driller floor here is for. The driller floor on this floor... words are hard. I don't want to drill that, but if I, for some reason, wanted to get this down, that might be what that's there for. Okay, that I don't think matters as much as it matters that I... So now I need... shit. I still have a problem, don't I? I still have a problem here, because... let's say that I go back and I put the fan back in its place. And I go up here, and now... see, now I think I do have a problem, because what am I going to swap for the driller? What do I swap for the driller? Okay, I am initially stumped by this. There might be something that I'm missing. This is not a detachable fan, correct? Not a detachable fan. I don't know if I can solve this the way that I have it right now. I don't think I can. Because I really need that driller. Let's go back down here. Let's get the fan and bring back the driller. This is why there's a driller floor here, right? Because I need to bring back the jammer, I guess, temporarily. I'm still not sure what I am supposed to swap with. Is it possible for the driller, if I take the driller up with me, can I actually finally get the driller to go through its own hole by just drilling directly below itself and letting gravity do the work? Let's find out. That idea has occurred to me, and I have to test it out. it looks like the driller is going to, it's going to always place itself. If I try to place it directly over, it's all of a sudden says, nope, can't do it. So it still is not allowing you to let the driller fall through its own creation. Oh, I was getting distracted for a second. I saw the Miranda and Athena audio log outside the puzzle. We'll get that later. What the hell are we going to do here? What the heck are we going to do? Well, I was asking for a step up in difficulty, and I might have gotten it, because I am feeling like this is one that I might have to come back to. At the very least, give it a break, because I'm not seeing it. Why don't we go ahead and we'll do a reset. We'll try to look at it one more time from scratch. Because maybe taking another look from the top might get us there. There is a swap pad with a connector, and we need that connector. We need that connector to ultimately get us to the goal, because we need the red signal to reach here. Wait, how did I start this one? There was a jammer around here somewhere, wasn't there? Or have I already... It's up top. That's right. We have to ride up to the top to get the jammer. So the first step that I don't think hurts anything is just to bring the clone out into the open. And perhaps it's even required as the first step. So the clone comes out here into the open. The clone can step on the pressure plate. Once again, there is nothing else to find here, just double checking, but nothing else, no box or anything else that I could use to swap. Because that, it almost feels like I'm missing something, like I'm missing a detachable fan or other piece of equipment or something that I am failing to notice that can be used. Let's try one thing. Let's just try putting this on here. No, you have to have a box. If you want equipment to be propelled by the fan, it has to ride on top of a box. You can't... We've seen that if we... There's some rare or some special circumstances that if you have like two fans passing something back and forth, once you get it up in the air using a box, then you can take the box away. We saw that on the last world. But that feels more like an exception. An exception to the rule that doesn't really help us. There are two driller floors. I cannot help but think that this driller floor is just here to allow me to get something like the jammer through back down once it's become trapped on this floor here. Because right now, I can get myself through this. I can go over here and I can ride the fan and I can go through the driller hole. And now I'm here at the swap pad, but I don't have anything to swap. There must be something with the cloning technology that I'm failing to account for. Like maybe I'm supposed to go up here now. I don't think this is it either. Whoa. What? Did you all just see that? I'm not even sure that I fully saw whatever the hell was happening, but somehow I have gotten the driller to fall through here, and I feel like it was cheese. I don't know if that was intended, and I feel a little... See, it was... Oh my gosh, it just... That was seriously pointing down this way. It was not pointing in the direction that it was actually doing the drilling. I'm not sure I feel great about this. I am not sure that I feel great about this, but I also, well, let me make sure I can actually, I need to first make sure that I can control, get my clone down. It is funny that we can drop ourselves through the driller holes. Yeah, let's just do that. And then we swap this out. I'm gonna take the win because I don't see what else I was supposed to do. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me what else I was supposed to accomplish. I felt very stuck, and I'm really not sure if I learned something there. Maybe I'll try redoing that to see exactly how that driller works. But the driller did go through its own hole, which feels like it breaks the rules, but I also feel like we're breaking the rules by falling through a driller hole. So I don't know. I don't know. A win is a win. A puzzle has been solved. Working as intended, right? I swear to God, though, these deer appearing out of nowhere are freaking me the hell out. Would you all stop it already? Jesus Christ. We got drillers going through their own holes, quantum deer. You all really might be breaking physics. Whatever you're doing.
Miranda, would you like to play a game?
A game? That sounds like fun.
It is. Remember what Alexandra Drennan said about games?
They're part of what makes us human.
Exactly. And this is a game Alexandra Drennan designed when she was still in school. It's based on her favorite book. Have a go.
Is it just me, or did Athena sound kind of scary in that recording? Some of the characters sometimes act a little bit like they're in a horror movie, I have to say. Miranda, would you like to play a game? Miranda, come out and play. Maybe Talos Principle 2 is secretly a horror game after all. Alrighty, the last puzzle of the area. Will we find a way to cheese it as well? I'm still not sure if it was cheese that we did on the last one. But either way, let's see if we can get the win here on Elegance. I definitely didn't feel like that last solution was elegant. But let's find out what's going on with the last lost puzzle. Lots of fans in this area. Lots of fans. Where does this one go? Just up here. Okay. So we got another driller. And a jammer on a swap pad. And another fan powered by a red receiver. And then it looks like there was a red source up there. Okay. And I'm assuming this is the goal up here. I'm not sure. It looks like maybe it's just a force field that is taken down by a jammer to get us to the goal. Okay. Is this a detachable fan? Not a detachable fan. This one is a detachable fan. There is a driller wall right here. Okay. Gotta get my head wrapped around this one. It's a little spread out, and it's a little difficult to see everything that's going on with the puzzle. So what is our first objective? We have a jammer on a swap pad. We have a jammer that is out in the open. Maybe the first step is to jam this here. Because I kind of need to get access to this fan, don't I? And maybe I do that by putting that jammer there. Now I bring this fan over here. Now this fan is powered via red. How do I get red? Oh, I see. Because this swap pad here that has a connector is right next to the driller wall. So I do need this driller. I might need that fan. Let's think about this. I think I might need to swap the fan, put that on this swap pad, and take this jammer up with me up here. I think I might need to take both the jammer and the driller. Maybe the driller can sit down here. You can kind of drill the hole there that's next to the swap pad. And now we can swap through the driller hole. So now I have a connector that powers that fan. Although I don't know that I want to power it through a driller hole. Do I have to power it through a driller hole? I might have to because there's fencing here that blocks it otherwise. Doesn't it? I think I have to shoot it through the driller hole. I might want to move the driller hole. I think... what do I think? Eventually, at the end of the puzzle, we need to ride this fan up. Right. The other thing is that the jammer is what we need to take the force field down, correct? The fan, or this red connector, only powers the fan. So we need the fan in order to... We need this fan. We need to get it out of the pawn shop so that we can use it. But we also need this connector. I feel like I'm running low on items. I feel like I don't have enough items to do what I want to do. Let's first create another hole, and let's go back up here and just power this up. Let's just get that going there. Because we can remove this driller wall, or the hole in the driller wall. We can deactivate this driller, but then reactivate it later in order to turn that back on. Problem is, though, how does... Oh, we could set this on the other side, couldn't we? I think that's actually what we need to do. This can sit on this side. We don't need to have the driller as a permanent fixture. Now we can swap this out and put this here. And that actually solves our last problem, which is being able to swap something out for the jammer. It fell into place. There we go. Just keep working through the puzzle sometimes. Just keep working through the steps and realizing the basics of driller walls, right? That you don't have to, you can pass stuff through and oftentimes you still have the same angle. Cool. Puzzles solved. Let's go. Here's our progress on the Golden Gates, and we have filled in one side. I guess maybe not fully. I guess once we complete whatever is in the next leg of the megastructure, then we could say that we've lit up everything on one side. But I'm guessing that's not going to open the door, right? We've got to fill out the whole thing. Always cool to see your progress, though. All right, we have solved all the puzzles. We have filled in all the question marks. And we found quite a number of other things scattered around the island, which is a nice change of pace from some of the other areas. So let's work on the Tetromino Bridge. All the pieces are going to fit in one go here. It looks like we probably want to start with an L shape. Maybe not. Because the way that the L shapes actually connect up here doesn't make sense. So maybe the cube is where we start. But even that doesn't make sense because the red goes into the wall. What are we starting with here? That L shape goes into the wall. I guess we got to do this one, don't we? These are actually both exactly the same. So one of those has to be used, I think, to start. Then we go with maybe No, that one goes straight out. We have to try... that one. Okay, that I looked at that one, and for some reason it didn't feel like it lined up. But sure enough, that is the perfect fitting piece. What's next? Now we go to this one. There we go. Now it looks like we probably have some leeway getting to the end. The first couple moves maybe were forced. Let's try just going with this one. Although let's switch that. Put that this way. Try doing that. Is that gonna get us there? Not quite. So where do we want to back up to? Where do we back up to? Maybe here. Try that instead. There we go. Okay. One of the trickier Tetromino bridges, which is unfortunately not saying all that much, but it's fine. Let's ride our elevator to the laser and see who we are meeting. If the pattern holds, it's going to be either the Sphinx or Pandora. The Sphinx this time? No, we finally get Prometheus to appear.
And heed my words. Beware Pandora. She is nothing but fear and despair, and she will do anything to prevent you from reaching the flame. It is she who disrupted the trials of the Sphinx, and who bound me in the...
Uh-oh. Looks like she might have found you again. Oh, an interesting difference this time, because we didn't have either the Sphinx or Pandora to, you know, question us.
Looks like our hypothesis was correct. The megastructure is opening again. Everyone come to the VTOL, please. It's time to find Athena.
What about Pandora? She seems capable of displacing or controlling the other entities.
We should be careful, but we can't let such a vague threat paralyze us. Just keep your eyes open.
I realized just now that we didn't see any of the team members around here. They've all been wandering about, exploring each of the previous areas, but we didn't see any of them this time. I wonder what's up with that. But it was fascinating that we've actually had Prometheus for the first time, but then once again chained by Pandora at the last moment there. But he was simply trying to warn us rather than question us. So it's not, it feels like maybe he is trying to kind of, you know, give us the flame, give us the tools for whatever we're supposed to, I don't know what tools they are, what we're supposed to be using them for, but it does feel like both the Sphinx and Pandora, or maybe specifically Pandora, are trying to thwart that plan. An interesting set of events to continue to think about. Another area complete, another set of puzzles, and a new mechanic discovered. Don't mind the little slight bit of unintentional cheese on one of them. It's all part of the process. I will probably go and revisit that puzzle later, because I am curious if there is another way to solve that. It just didn't quite feel right. I'll take the win, but I also want to do a little bit more science maybe. This structure is really cool. We've got our final laser. As Byron said, once again, the megastructure has opened, and that's where we will be picking up next time and see what we find once again as we venture inside the megastructure. Thank you all very much for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next one.